it's not just some of the UFO stuff. The nuke thing is interesting, right? The fact that UFOs have always been interested in nukes, apparently, since the days of the Stranger at the Pentagon. A lot of the UFO sightings were around Roswell Army Airfield. There was the first
right.
famous
Like a lot
crash.
of the OGs in the APEC community, like John Brandenburg, a few others, they all talk about Brandenburg was even saying that he was informed and believes now that the Roswell incident was caused by a shoot down because the UFO was around Los Alamos because of the nuke testing there or whatever, and that's what like actually triggered that whole event or something. So
Los Alamos. That's New Mexico. That's like
right. So
so Albuquerque's here. The mountains up in Sandia, right, and that's Los Alamos is in the mountain is up above Sandia Mountain, right? It's past and around Sandia Mountain if you go north on the way to Colorado Springs, right, in New Mexico. I'm just talking geography. This is off the top of my head. I don't have this in front of me.
But like you're picturing it, and it kind of makes sense.
I don't know, because let's look at the geography here a second. You know, here's Albuquerque, right? And then north in Albuquerque is Los Alamos is up here. So Santa, I know I went through Los Alamos on my way into Albuquerque when I drove down here from Colorado. So I went through Colorado Springs. Where's Colorado Springs? So yeah, so 25. This is what we did. So here's Pueblo, Colorado Springs, right? Then you go to Pueblo, and then you're going down here. Taos is up here. Then there's Vegas. There's a whole bunch of dead stuff. Wagon Mound. I remember Wagon Mound is this big butte. Really interesting place. A lot of old history in these places. And then Los Alamos. Where's Los Alamos? Los Alamos, right here, hidden in the desert, right up here, right? This is Mount Sand. This is Mount Sand. This is Sandia Mountain right here, and then you have to go up 25 north of Sandia up here to these mountains, and then in this kind of range, this Los Alamos is out that way. So there's Los Alamos. Okay, here's Albuquerque. That's like probably a 2-hour drive.
Well, this distance though from height too, right? Because if it's
and here's Roswell all the way out here, it's like a 6-hour drive out to Roswell. It was like 4.5 hours to go out to Corona, New Mexico from Albuquerque when me and Mark drove out to the desert from Albuquerque, just to give you reference. You know, about 4-hour drive. Like, it's far, man. It's a lot of like roads across.
Well, in a vehicle, but if it's a legitimate craft, and then it would be where were like the radar sites or the interceptions or something, right? Because it's like you shoot down a modern day jet, it's like it doesn't. Well, I guess no, modern day jets, they do kind of just drop, don't they? It's like,
I mean, modern day jet, you got to think 1947. This is just
months
after Chuck Yeager broke the sound barrier in the first jet.
Yeah.
Right. The jet engines didn't exist until like the 1947.
I'm not saying that aspect, because supposedly it was like a radar thing or technology, some sort of radar that's.
Well, I've heard a Tesla death ray strapped to a P-180. I've heard, you know,
right, like those are the rumors. So it's like
I've
just trying to make
sense
of it if it's possible, but it's like today's aircraft, if it gets shot down or it loses power, it just drops, right? So it's like
interesting, right? Operation Paperclip didn't start after World War II in 1945, right? Operation Paperclip was ongoing throughout the war. We snatched up like Einstein and a lot of these scientists when the Nazis were, you know, first coming to power, and like brought them here and like got them out. So there was a lot of work to get the science and the intelligence out of these countries ahead of the curve and bring them here. Now, NASA wasn't created until 1958, you know, so that's like 11 years after Roswell. So you have to think during this whole time throughout the 1940s, when they're pulling scientists with this paperclip operation to take all these scientists and this intelligence over here to the U.S., and then develop these technologies, what was going on at the time of Roswell? Well, there's a lot of secret space programs, and they were centered around these areas. Certainly, this was the place to do secret space research and early rockets research, early rocket testing. And the guys who were involved in this were guys like, you know, Werner von Braun, but before that, Robert Goddard, right? And some of the fathers of modern rocketry were out here working on stuff. So the Mercury program, we had you know, some of these tests being run out there. It's possible that this was part of some kind of secret space program stuff.
I
But the
gotta
metamaterial, the
present this
nitinol,
one
the
picture.
memory metal, how do you
So
explain that one?
right, and so according to Michael Schratt, he's saying that there was a couple like the further back there was like a couple original like alien crafts that crashed and were retrieved, and then pretty much from that point forward after like the 40s, anything 50s onwards was like human experimenting technology, and like it just kept evolving up and more advanced, right? So it, it's very interesting. And then so this one here I was going over with Jeremiah, and this is supposedly the original Honeyboo, and it's jet propulsion, right? So it's a rocket propulsion that's giving you this plasma, and then it's showing that it's essentially the T Townsend Brown effect off of the metal casing and shell, ionizing the plasma and keeping it going and creating the extra lift once you're out of orbit, essentially. And that it's got these nodes, as they all do. And sorry, there's one more corresponding image that goes along with it, a cross-section diagram here that, right? So it's like this would be the rocket plasma thing, and then whatever these ionizing things are, and that it was mostly like a giant tin can with a rocket attached to it, and trying to, and then I guess utilizing a bit of the T Townsend Brown um, engineering of
But
it.
what's the
But
aspect of it? Is it like a pure ion wind engine, or is it
so
um,
it's both, right? So it's a
electromagnetic?
rocket as well as the ion wind. So it's like the rocket, I guess, is the main propulsion while in like Earth's atmosphere and gravity, and then once it got up, the ion aspect. But it's like that's just the first attempts, and what's saying that like they actually worked, and then it's not just they crash retrievals because they're like, oh, fire the rocket up, and then it goes up and then crashes like a rocket, like who
Tesla
knows?
had to have been experimenting with this kind of stuff. I mean, you look at Luigi Rota and some of these other guys at the turn of the century who are, building and experimenting with electric aircraft and ion wind propulsion and stuff. It's quite possible that this is like the hidden Tesla technology that these people are talking about. That it's generally this kind of stuff is what they mean. I mean, that's as far as the science comes, that's what we've been able to find experimentally and been able to verify. I mean, this stuff works in a laboratory. There's some videos of where's the video of was it Smarter Every Day or that other guy that built the little who's the other guy?
Plasma channel.
Watch all the time. He did the squeezed light one too. So let me find this. It was called ionic wind propulsion. Yeah. Some of these plasma. Like these big coronal arcs and stuff. Yeah, a lot of interesting ion propulsion, no moving parts. NASA secret design. No, come on. Wow, they blow out a lot of candles with these things. I mean, they produce a significant amount of wind. I mean, there's fans, household fans that you can buy that are based on, you know, this kind of technology that work as fans for the house, you know. So yeah, super interesting stuff. This is all real. The Action Lab, this guy, you know, he's done a lot of these. I'm not going to play his video, but I'll show you just the basics. You know, he's done a lot of, you can tell he watches a lot of this kind of stuff that we, you know, the experimental channels that we cover and talk about on the show and interview, because, you know, he's totally showing off a lot of this stuff and doing his own experiments on it and being like, holy shit, this stuff's real and it works. And yeah, I'm going to talk about it on this, my massively popular channel 4 years ago, making videos on it, 3 million views. Yeah, nice job, dude. I love your work. I love the videos you do, and keep it up. Anyways, yeah, the Ionic Breeze. Yeah, Action Lab's great, dude. He did another video on squeeze light too. I don't know if you saw, but you can definitely tell he follows some of the stuff because, you know, he does experiments
on it.
And
The ferrofluids.
Yeah, cold light from crystals. I mean, he does a whole bunch of cool. He does all kinds of cool stuff on this channel, man. But where's the one? Light darker than Vantage black, slow light, theory of relativity, the triboelectric effect. This one, the cold light from crystals. That was a good one. And then yeah, how to stop light and slow it from moving. But where's the one where he squeezes the light, dude? He takes like razor blades and like squeezes a stopping light. Where's the squeezing? Can you squish light? Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. This one. How far down they hit it, dude. This is like an awesome video, and this is 3 years ago, and it's only gotten like a fraction of the views. I mean, this is, he puts it on a wrench too with the razor blades on a adjustable, you know, wrench, you know, that way you can control like the width,
right? Like simple but smart. Like it's MacGyver sciencing. That's real science.
Yeah, it's MacGyver science. I mean, what you should do is gear it down so that you're moving it like atoms at a time. You know, like, you know how they did that impossible machine. They have one at MIT. They said like it's been spinning for like 25, 30, or 50 years now or something. They built it in the 50s. It's been spinning at the MIT lab, and they said that it will take 1 billion years for the final gear to make one rotation because like all the gear downs, it's like a transmission with like like infinite gears lied down. Anyways, you don't have to go that small, but make it like so that you're, when you get down to that final gap in the razor blades, it's like really hard to control that, and there's a lot of
get it to the Casimir effect line, right?
Even almost like something like that, where it's a Casimir effect, like smile, the size, they're kind of like a micrometer,
nanometer.
Micro might work though. But anyways, yeah, that's an interesting one, because the squeeze light stuff and what that has to do with Eric Davis's stuff that he talked about in that wormhole paper in the U.S. Air Force wormhole and warp drive paper, right? He talks about using squeezed light in negative energy states to create the negative energy states with squeezed light.
Third is so key.
Yeah, this one it's very interesting stuff.
It's like it is Ashton gonna end up being right to the extent that it actually was a wormhole attempt, or was it?
Well, this is the tricky part, man. I believe he could be.
He could be right. Like the more
we have to wait for the experimentalists, because, you know, I want to see. I know that they can do invisibility cloaks. I talk about the where's the video? It's called Mirage Effect hides objects.
Stagecraft is asking that next you look up unified differential.
I always show this video.
Same.
This is old. Where did this research go? So if they can shine, the idea is that you don't need the carbon nanotubes if you can find the right type of lasers to activate the surface plasmons on a surface. You can project laser plasma onto the surface with the laser plasma technology, and then create an invisibility cloak that way. So I always wonder if if you could,
that's pretty wild.
But then that doesn't explain where the smoke trail for the plane disappears and where that went.
Yeah.
Unless it's CGI. I know that's the easy way out that a lot of debunkers take. They're just like,
but it just at this
there's
point
too many weird things about if it was CGI, whoever released it at that time just
it has to be like the big, like a straight government op. Like regardless, it came from the government because it's like it's not. Like if it's CGI, it's like it was made by the military using their Gorgon Stare frickin' software and like all of the stuff. Like there's just too many classified aspects to those videos that like it only a very select few of US military people had that information to make something like that, right? So it's like it's either legit or it was made by them, and like it's only one of those two solutions at this point.
Yeah, it's wild. I just don't know what to make of it, and I haven't, I do not trust a lot of the debunkers on the stuff, the ones that are still holding out on it. But I just also don't. It's hard for me to like not look at the video and think it's CGI too. But it's like, but there's so many weird things about it that once you get into the real research on it, that
they're so accurate, and like
it bothers me.
Yeah,
that one keeps me up at night. The jellyfish UFO, the orb, bokeh, lens flares, the 29 bombs. Sorry, Jeremy Corbell, but none of that stuff keeps me up at night. The 20 dead Freescale semiconductor technology scientists that were bought out by Blackstone Group, a company that is connected to Maurice Greenberg and Larry Silverstein, the guys that did the insurance job on the World Trade Center on 9/11. That draws red flags for me, and that one makes me curious. And that's my litmus test if you're a government agent or a bullshitter or not, is if you can talk about like 9/11 or JFK or some of these other conspiracies. Just wild stuff.
Maybe we'll do that. We'll get back to the UFO stuff for a little bit and do a full episode on the politics.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you take the floor and go over some of these patents and stuff.
Because there's some crazy ones, right? Like, like this one here, filed April 28th, 1999 in the United States, and then it's approved. It was approved September 19th, 2000. So it went through, and it's both an airship and a spacecraft. So what are we looking at? We're looking at this giant inflatable balloon like they do with like weather balloons and stuff. But look at that. It's the same over and over again disc UFO with the three freaking bottom things.
There's the three spheres on the bottom, like the George Adamski or the Bob Lazar gravity amplifiers.
Exactly. And an airship / spacecraft, which in a preferred embodiment uses its lifting gas as for fuel thrusters. So what are they saying? They're saying they're using the hydrogen gas for the buoyancy to defeat the gravity up into the ionosphere, at which point it then consumes the balloon's hydrogen gas as a fuel. And then which may be of turbo type or rocket type or both, to achieve transition to space flight. The airship aspect has gas-retaining structures that can withstand internal and external pressure and can change in volume and shape. The spacecraft aspect provides control, power, services, and interior space for missions of airship spacecraft. And the fact that it was filed and approved means it has to work, right? So very interesting on that. But
Boom. Yes, 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 ladies and gentlemen. We got 143 people watching severely shadow banned channel with over 119,000 subscribers that was used to getting, you know, thousands of views, and I get millions of views when I go on like major podcasts and stuff. And we're
and
bringing
your
you
original
like
videos
real rich
also have
information,
millions.
real patents, real stuff. This is why you subscribed to this channel. Don't forget.
And so Jack trading, that is incorrect. Patents do have to work to get approved. Okay, you can submit a patent, but it doesn't get approved if it doesn't work. Like that's the whole purpose of the patent and why they are able to deny so many, because it's like your patent doesn't work. Theoretically, we're saying it doesn't work. And yeah, like Jeremy's saying, like, but again, back to your before YouTube had that censorship, anyone looks at Jeremy's videos on his channel from 10 years ago, like they're at millions upon millions of views, right? And it's like, and most of the views are older. It's not like you're gating new views, they're the original views. It's wild. But back to the patents, we have what OdySee Carr patented as a at this time, it was done as a amusement park ride and spinner thing. But there's other patents with. So here's the thing: this got approved like this, and was OdySee Carr's the triple gyroscopic motion aspects originally trying to figure out how they were to stabilize the first honeyboo style craft that we saw of the disc shape, that was the rocket and then the ionosphere or the ionic chargers at the bottom, that are those same three spheres that are on the bottom of all of them. And did OdySee Carr's technology, obviously just spinning three freaking counterweights isn't going to be able to propulse you off the Earth's gravity, but it could be a major aspect involved in the overall technology. And as time went on and the patents went on, it appears that OdySee Carr's stuff did potentially work. And here's the one again that I'm referring to of this original rocket plasma. So fire is in a plasma state, right? But you're consuming its exothermic reaction, you're combusting. But when you're combining it with that electrical ionic charge and propulsion aspect of the T-Towns and Brown and taking it in, that was, I guess, essentially what they were trying with this model. And then the second one's being the OdySee Carr trying to stabilize it with the different rotors. Here we have one from 1957, filed in 1950. So it took 7 years, I guess 6.5 years for it to get approved. And saucer-shaped aircraft. While that looks like the original Enterprise from Star Trek, but again, this is a rotary style craft where it's using the gases and then it's spinning blades. So this is it's like a gyroscopic helicopter style rotary type of craft. And then it had the two jets for trying to steer it and push it forward and whatnot. Right. So it's like this is an aircraft, not a spacecraft, but an aircraft. And that it's aspects like these and like the one rotocraft disc shaped one that the US showed off a bunch of, that they were trying to figure out the overall physics and engineering and aerodynamics and every aspect of the saucer craft, which could have been, as Michael Schratt is presenting and proposing, that were the original 1940s recovered alien crafts. And then these are the different stages and different, essentially, the everything was so compartmentalized, right? So it's the different compartments of trying to figure out this disc-shaped craft and the technologies of it as time's going on from the original recovered alien craft and technology. And this right here is very fascinating because, this is the Chinese one. This is relevant, but there's an American corresponding one to it that that I'll be showing. But so here is the Chinese version, magnetic suspension. So magnetic suspension, electric rotor flying saucer, and it was approved in China in 2011. Okay, and what is it attaches to? Sorry, I will pull up the English version of it, where it is in America. Oh, darn it. Hold on, my apologies. My apologies.
Another movie that's from the 60s that's cool is The Bamboo Saucer. I don't know if you've ever seen it before. It's free.
I think we watched a bit of, did you do a little watch party of it on the channel once, or no? That was a different one.
Yeah, it's free. I mean, I could play parts of it right now if you want to check it out.
We should.
I want to show a little bit of it just because.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, I find these other specific patents, absolutely. Because it's like, it seems like China, Russia, and the US all working on these for a very long time, and that the majority of this craft,
this movie is about is a collaboration when they find a saucer in like East Asia, and it's all about like the Russian and the Americans like show up together and they're working together, and of course the American girl
could be. It would make sense because secretly, privately, if they both have recovered these alien disc craft and there's alien visitors, like you'd hope humanity.
So these are the Americans. This is the American. I mean, there's Russian guys and then the Asian guys and Americans all over.
Они его товарищи покинут нас, если мы будем продолжать стрелять. Он боится, что шум привлечет солдат.
Они выстрелили первые. I know one thing. Any more shooting will attract the Chinese soldiers, if it hasn't already.
I tried to stop that from them, but we can't stay pinned down here. Maybe we ought to pull out.
It wouldn't help. They run us down easily unless we abandon all of our equipment.
Sam, go back and see if we got any porters left.
Okay.
Hey, what's that?
See, they have a peace flag.
Americans! Americans, don't shoot!
So, let's get to work.
Ready.
Morning, Sam.
Morning. I have lookouts at strategic places. We'll keep a night and day watch.
Let me give you a hand, Fred. I was just talking to Sam. He's got guards pulling the door around. Good. Should be all right. Wait a minute, I'm coming. want to take a look up there and see. It's heavy now. What's they got up there? Hold it. Okay. Come on. Look out. It's pretty close.
They figure how to get inside this thing yet?
Look, the entire exterior surface completely unbroken. Not a sign of a door, a port, nothing.
How do they look out to see where they're going?
And
There has to be a way to get in this thing.
Here. Maybe this is it. Feel this.
oh, it is a saucer.
Here, it's cool.
It is same.
Let's trace it.
Did you find anything?
Could be. We don't know yet.
If this is door, it must perfect.
All right, my apologies. Probably pause that there for a minute. And why were they always depicting the disc shaped as alien when it could? And well, I guess in reality, the original saucer, according to Schratt's work, there was one in 1946, and then the Roswell in 47, and I believe a couple more. But here we go. We have found the United States patent, and this from June 17th, 2014. And what do we have? Electrical driven flying saucer based on magnetic suspension. Inventors: Xiao Gang Ruan, Beijing; Zhu Yang Hao, Beijing; assignee, Beijing University of Technology. And when it was filed in China, when it was published and accepted in China, and then published in China, foreign application data, and then it was where does it say? Received. So I think it was 2012. It said it was applied in the US, and then it was published on 2014. So the crucial part is that it was first figured out and published in China, and then these same Chinese people came to America and refiled this patent. So it's not just valid in China, it's also accepted and published and recognized in America. So that is really fascinating, because if this isn't legitimate, why would the Beijing and Chinese first publish it in China and then apply and get it approved in the US? And the crucial part: electrical driven flying saucer based on magnetic suspension. And again, look at that. You have the orb and the disc, right? So same essential disc-shaped craft, but potentially using a different type of, well, it's electric charged magnetic propulsion or suspension, it says. So very, very interesting there. Now, we're looking at, I believe, this one is part of a different American patent, I believe from the 2000s, and it's got these other type of radiation propulsion, but sorry, that was not the one I was looking to show and share. My apologies as I'm going through. So here we go. Yes, so that one, sorry, here, this is the publication information of the diagram you were just looking at. So it's from 2011 that it was accepted. Oh, and again, look at this. Look at this. Same two individuals, Beijing University Technology, and we're looking at the blueprints of the electric powered magnetic suspension disk drive technology coming out of China. A magnetic suspension electric rotor flying saucer comprises a saucer shell, a saucer cabin, a rotor system, and a control system. The rotor wing system is a magnetic suspension electric rotor wing system composed of a magnetic suspension rotor wing wheel, an electrodynamic ring, a magnetic suspension shaft, magnetic suspension lead rails, the electrodynamic ring, the magnetic suspension shaft, the magnetic suspension lead rails are fixed on saucer shell. The magnetic suspension rotor wing wheel is suspended in space limited by the electrodynamic ring. The magnetic suspension shaft and the magnetic suspension lead rails rotates around the magnetic suspension shaft by the electromagnetic thrust. Fascinating, fascinating things being described in these patents. Now, what do we have here? We have December 4th, 1962, NC Price supersonic aircraft. And again, so look at, this is a disc-shaped craft, no longer, still has the rotor in the middle of the helicopter, right? So this is a ROV, or VOR, vertical, VTR, vertical takeoff, whatever the freaking acronym is for it. But so you have the propeller in the middle going up, but it's, look at this, it is supersonic. And why? Because it's got the jet going through, boom, like that. And again, 1953, VTOL. Thank you, Simon. VTOL. And Jordan, there we go. It's VTOL. So how many different disc aircrafts and spacecrafts were there? And again, evidence that it was different compartmentalized groups trying to figure out every single type. So this is another aspect of these, I believe the Chinese version, that this is the bulb at the bottom, and on some of them you're going to see stated that these are both quartz crystal spheres that are being charged. There's a whole bunch in these diagrams. So horizontal motion level flight. Again, figuring out the dynamics of these recovered original UFO alien disk crafts that we had to reverse engineer from the very beginning, figuring out every single aspect that we're going to get this thing working, and the levels of the different alien technologies that we're trying to recreate from those originals. This is why the older you go back, 1945, oh, look at this. There's a pilot thing and a VTOL, again, chopper. Filed 1944. June 1945, it was approved. And then you got quantum probability. Look at this, that's looking pretty disk-like. But again, here we have Otis T. Carr and his off-balance wheels trying to figure out the balancing of the actual disc-shaped geometry. Oh, and it says designed to the moon, right? So all these different aspects. Here we have original German powered rocket craft style things. This being a part of, oh my goodness, on the tip of my tongue, German or the Austrian Victor Schauberger and his designs. Another aspect of how the supposed German VTOL air rotating up aspect, the propeller. So the propeller in the Germans' disc craft were based off of Victor Schauberger's designs. This one, not the actual figure of, I do have pictures of the presentation here. But that's a little further on. Here again, looking at dynamics of a type of this disc craft, but this being in a aircraft jet propulsion manner of flight. Okay, so many different types. Now, oh, I'm sorry, Jeremy, because we have the cosmic egg structure. So maybe there is something to some of the different egg things, but it's the suction turbine rotor designed by Victor Schauberger. And it's using these sacred mathematical proportion geometries to get the best actual vortex flow on the suction turbine. And again, I don't know about that one. Here we go. Look, what do we have here? We have negative energy gradients, gravitomagnetic fields. Okay, interesting. Gravitomagnetic induction, metamaterial layered disk. Oh, okay, look at these equations we have going on. Positive energy gradient. Interesting stuff right here, right? Like rotating waveguide, angular velocity. As we get more advanced with recreating the original craft. So again, so here's the other. So the cosmic egg was the turbine causing suction. This is, I believe, is Victor Schauberger's propulsion of the airflow turbine, forward motion suction part of the generator. So again, it's like the Honeyboo. Not sure about this aspect, but the definitely was a rocket to start and a VTOL turbine that they were including. Oh, basic EM drive. So again, look at this, all the work. Sikorsky aircraft. What's that? Is that French? Proof of concept. Another VTOL again. Oh, or Russian potentially. Look at that Japanese flag all around the world. Wow. Why were they all doing this? Why were they all focusing on this disc-shaped craft? And we're told by the U.S. military when they rolled out that one, they're like, oh, that's all the sightings you've seen, and it was unstable, so we never worked with it again. And no. Here it's everywhere. And sorry, I'm going fast through some of like the more advanced, newer physics aspects because that's a whole other presentation all on its own. But I have it all. Don't you worry. I have it all. Engine vertical installer. Look at this again. Like, oh, we're all going into it now. United States patent. 1993, Dooley filed 1991, approved January 1993. Valcade Dooley, Columbia MD, VTOL aircraft. Again, oh, vertical takeoff lifter. So does this have anything spinning? Well, let's see. It is provided having a plurality of rotor blade sets disposed of at least potentially beneath the fuselage, prepared for augmented plate. So it is an aircraft with rotors still being done in the 90s. What? Why are they still developing that in the 90s? It's well, I think at this point
Well,
we're figuring
there's
out why.
ton of different companies involved in all this. So we got Boeing Aircraft, we got Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Glenn Aircraft Company, which would become Glenn Martin Aircraft Corporation, and which became Martin Marietta, and then Martin Marietta became Lockheed Martin, and so all these companies over the years kind of developed, and there were buyouts. There was a lot of stuff moved around. There's Ling Temco Vought, one of the lesser known ones that built a lot of the saucers during the 50s for Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and LTV is of course connected to the JFK assassination through D. Harold Byrd, who owned the School Book Depository building that the president was shot from in '63. So, yeah, there's tons of interesting connections and patents and stuff. GE Aerospace. So GE had a whole division, and they were the ones doing all the mercury research back in the '60s and stuff for a lot of top secret research into because they built, of course, all the mercury vapor bulbs for all the light bulbs and light plants and stuff. So they were involved in the mercury rotating mercury experiments based off the Nazi Bell and Nazi technologies and stuff. So all this stuff is out there. It's real. It's not like it's some of it's still classified,
and
we don't know
it's
everything
ongoing. And
but what's funny is they ghost the public.
right. Oh,
This
Avro.
stuff. Well, they'll put this out. This is
turbojet.
top secret, but this is like a bunch of jet engines just blowing stuff in a circle that creates like a lift tornado. And there's no
Right, but it's all relevant though, Jeremy, in that it's the different compartmentalized aspects of figuring out the physics of the technology and then also covering it up because as you see, it's
control
like through the
systems.
50s,
Yeah, so they
the
had to
60s,
cover it
the
up, and then they
70s,
used
the 80s, the 90s, and as it keeps developing on, they're adding the different physics aspects to it. And again, look, here's the Chinese publishing in America and electric driven flying saucer based on magnetic suspension. And I got to show a couple more crucial parts that connect it all together with again.
I'm not so sure about everything now that I looked at, like the secret science and a lot of the secret programs and stuff. It's like a lot of this stuff can be explained with like top secret research and stuff that they just don't want in the public's hands. And so like it's been super secretive, and then they wrap it in this alien bubble. But then the alien question comes in. Of course, we can't be alone. Like there's got to be aliens out there. And if they're visiting, it makes sense they'd be visiting the nuke sites. So some of this sighting stuff kind of makes sense through that lens. But it's just it's been used as a cover-up too.
I got to take it back to this one.
Let's go back to Richard
Doty. Why are they still so obsessed? Right? But again, like a balloon up, it's even if it's drones, but it's that this one's stating spacecraft, airship and spacecraft, and then it's like accepted in 2000. And like, why are they still going with trying to get these shaped craft with these three things at the bottom of them into above orbit, right? It's wild. I don't.
Yeah, that's a weird one, man. And it's that one kind of blows my mind because it's like a year before the Halo games came out, and it looks like the shield from the Halo thing. But
Right. And so just my last thoughts,
but
whether
what is
that
this, like a balloon?
technology
This is like a
works or
giant
not.
balloon with a saucer
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hangs from it
But the
and powers
saucer's
it.
the spacecraft, right? So it's a balloon. It says it is a airship and a
It says a big
spacecraft, and it
giant.
says
It's a big giant balloon
it gets it up to space, and that's the space. And the balloon is the hydrogen that is the fuel that they burn up once they get up there. But I'm just saying, if it's just VTOLs or whatever, it's that they're still working on these disc shaped to this day, and it's humans. And why are they obsessed with it? And it must be, as Michael Schratt presents and was showing the cases of the supposed original alien disc craft technology, that it's like that would be maybe the obsession, but I don't know. When
wild, man. But the lengths that they've gone through with the disinformation and then creating these public characters, creating these public narratives, and then propping up fake actors that are, like this guy from California who is a wannabe artist that decided he wanted to be a UFO expert and make UFO documentaries. And suddenly he's like all over TMZ, got his own show and everything. And I think it's laughable how they've inserted certain characters or just taken over the narrative with these people that really know nothing and can be used as props essentially, or just stage props for the Operation Mockingbird media, so they can bring these people in, be like, oh look, these are the UFO experts, these are the people who believe in UFOs and want disclosure, and this is the evidence that they have, and this is what they want, and this is what they believe in. And they show Lou Elizondo up there with the crop circle photo, and it's just crazy how they've hoodwinked the entire public, and it simultaneously like suppressed so much technologies and stuff. The Pentagon disinformation, though, didn't just start with like Lou Elizondo or some guys that were hazing David Grush because they thought he was a vulnerable target and decided to tell him about a fake program that didn't exist, or whatever have you. Like this is an old thing that goes way back. I mean, this is from 1988. And these guys came out on television. There was this secret group called the Aviary. I don't know if you can hear this. Let me
share.
Let me reshare the sound so you guys can hear that. But a secretary and a scientist. Look at the head shake. That's Richard Doty. Were often siphoned off by what they call moles within the organization. Those reports were.
Does a mole literally try to claim of other moles?
Come on, they didn't do a good job of hiding his identity or his voice, dude. I actually, some people say that this is Captain Robert Collins is Condor, who's speaking there. Some say Richard Barrow or was Falcon or Sparrow. But I don't know. I think all of them are like Richard Doty types, man. But basically a bunch of these, experts in psychic warfare and, made up all this Zeta Reticuli alien stuff, and they put it all on TV like a year before Bob Lazar came out with the story about the Zeta Reticuli aliens. And they said a lot of the same stuff, but not all the exact same. But this was like a whole. It's like Lazar was tailored for John Lear. Like they wanted John Lear, and they saw what they saw what George Knapp and John Lear were doing, and they created this guy specifically to get in and compromise them. And then when they saw the popularity and real, like this is the best one is watching George Knapp talk about how Lazar was caught pimping with the whole running the two brothels, the Crystal Cove, which was the legal brothel, and then the Honeysuckle Ranch, which was the illegal brothel. Um, And yeah, it's a funny story about how, you know, during the time that he's supposedly this top secret spy with this connection at Area 51, giving information to John Lear and George Knapp, he's simultaneously running a blackmail operation with installing cameras inside of a prostitution ring. But yeah, the whole story is just wild. It sounds like Jeffrey Epstein. So there's like this spy component, and then like this blackmail component, and then also like you got this Area 51 and UFOs in the mix. And there's a lot of controversy over what happened with Bob. Was he really brought out there to like a secret hangar by Richard Doty and a bunch of these spooks, and shown a bunch of Avro cars and other like, you know, stuff that and was told a whole bunch of bullshit about it, knowing that he'd come and leak it all to John Lear, and he wouldn't be able to help himself. He would have to tell John Lear about all the stuff he was seeing. And I feel like they did it on purpose. They set up like this rig, fake base, you know, brought a bunch of, you know, the displays that are in Tillamook Air Force hangar. There's in Tillamook, Oregon, there's a hangar with the Avro car and a whole bunch of these saucer shaped type crafts that are still on display inside this place. I'm surprised it hasn't burned down, because like 2 of those hangars have burnt. Most of all of them have burnt down, but one of them burnt down real recently, and I was like, oh my god, I hope it's not Tillamook, because they have like
just another Twin Towers and World Trade Center 7 and Missing Gold sort of Enron situation, eh?
Right, who knows? But they have a bunch of these saucer-shaped craft that they built for the U.S. Air Force and these experimental programs, much more than one. And so they were trying to replicate something, obviously, you know, if it was the stories or what have you.
Right, like what's the obsession with it?
A lot of the artists have copied this, because you had Otis Carr back in the 50s, you know, starting with the and then, you know, Bob Lazar.
Right, but so what makes sense
like Billy
with
Myers
Otis Carr?
70s.
But why I have to bring up Otis Carr is, like, I'm not saying his technology like propulsed something or ever got more than the amusement ride. I'm saying it was the one compartmentalization where they were trying to stabilize the motion of the wobble of the disc shape and the rotation, while they're using the aerodynamics of the flow of the VTOL rotor, as well as traveling against the friction of the plane of air as they're going, right? So and they're trying to then get it up and out. And once they're in space, they're getting that ion thrust and other aspects.
Yeah. And it certainly goes back to quite a ways back. I mean, the 50s, and we've gone over the Bonson Labs research with John Lear's father was part of that, you know, seeing the videos of the Bonson Lab research. So there's a lot of weird connections that we find in all this to a lot of there's some real top secret research, and obviously came from a background of people who knew some stuff about some stuff. But, you know, trying to get to the whole bottom of this whole story is quite interesting. And listening to Jesse Michaels on Joe Rogan talking about what he thought about Bob Lazar and the whole story was interesting, you know, because if it was Richard Doty, it makes sense, because, of course, S4, we know about S4. There was 2 real facilities called S4. And they weren't at Papoose Lake. We got these high-def pictures of Papoose Lake, and we show, do I show the whole, oh my God, I don't have it on here. I got to put this on the website. I can't believe it's not on here. I have to update this right away. But I have to put on there about the 2 facilities that were called Site 4. One was at Tonopah Test Range, and one was at, so I have to find those pictures now and post those up. One was at Plant 42 in Palmdale, where they built the B-2 stealth bomber. So 2 classified facilities in the 1980s, where they were doing top secret aircraft and building them to 2 places. One where they were building top secret stealth aircraft, right? The B-2 bomber at Plant 42 in Palmdale, and the other Site 4, where which was in Tonopah test range, where they tested the ECCMs, and that's all the laser plasma projection stuff that they were early stage stuff, and then Russian counter radar and counter ECM technologies, you know, so counter radar and stuff that was going on at Site 4. So yeah, I have to add that to the mix, because that's a big part of what I believe happened in the whole Bob Lazar story. But the disinformation is a key part of this, because they have this group called the Aviary, and they came forward with all this UFO stories, very similar to TTSA and what TTSA group did, right? Where they came forward with this, like, oh, we're insiders, and we're going to give you the truth. We're going to give you this, you know, they
So
capture and gain control of the narrative.
bring up, tie it back to the origin and start of the stream and the Washington Post article, was it? On
No, Wall Street Journal.
Wall Street Journal, right? So it's like, I can't trust the Wall Street Journal, but is like this the one time that it's a half truth, and like it explains, like,
well, you can see a lot of the people that make their bread and butter off the grifts of UFOs stuff.
So I got a question first. Are they claiming that the Tic Tac technology is American technology? Because if that's what they're saying, then I'm on board with it. Otherwise, what's the claim now?
Yeah, well, what's interesting, man, that there's a number of people that I've interviewed that would be in the know, like former special security analysts. So on this channel, we interviewed. Let me find the video of it, because you can go to my channel and find it, and I'll share it with people so they can go and watch it and listen. But I had